Castro district, these guys, I feel bad for them. A lot of the shopkeepers are struggling with the crime and homeless encampments, and obviously they're barely making any money, right? So if you check this out, this is the Castro district. There's a lot of restaurants, a lot of cool bars, and basically it has a lot of very iconic restaurants, stores, and pretty much just like a pretty good area, right? It's pretty far away from the hustle and bustle of downtown San Francisco, but still though, it's basically on Market Street. So if you go down the street, you eventually get to like downtown San Francisco. And of course, Castro, they have some really cool stuff. Cafes, bars, you get it. But now they're struggling to keep themselves open. Operating a business in San Francisco is very difficult. Not only are rents super expensive, and rents are not even going down for a lot of these guys. Because if they drag down the rent, the property values go down as well. And of course, a lot of big things will come in, which probably gonna be correlated with like the loans and also the value of the property. So a lot of these property owners and a lot of these, guys in San Francisco, they are still a little bit delusional. The rents are still crazy high. Some of the property values are still crazy high. But if you look at the transactions, it's a different story. But you get the idea. These guys are struggling with very high rents and very, very high taxes. San Francisco is not for the faint of heart. You're opening a business here, well, you're going to be taxed the crap out of you, okay? And what's even worse, like I said before, you get heavily taxed and nothing ever happens. You call the cops, you barely get anything resolved. You call a city council to do something, you barely get resolved. As I said before, a lot of these local merchants says it's getting worse. There's more homeless encampments. Crime has shot up. Like, let's say you're operating like a bakery store. It's very difficult to keep this open. Not to mention, the moment when tents open around your bakery, you're completely screwed, okay? Your restaurant is probably going to go downhill because if you try to call the city council to come over to remove the tents, it's not happening. And if there's robberies, same exact thing. The police officers can't do that much. There's also like a police shortage because the whole entire defund the police situation. Apparently there's like 600, 700 cops shortage in San Francisco, which is causing this massive explosion in crime. And he's also saying that the growing problem of the homelessness is making difficult of business a very difficult thing to do. And a lot of these businesses in Castro District don't want to leave, but he's seen several businesses in the Castro District already shutting down as time goes on. And I really don't blame him, right? Castro District, it's a great place to run a business. You have all of these residential buildings around it. So obviously you get a lot of really good local business from some of these apartments and complexes and townhouses. But now with a lot of people leaving San Francisco, crime has shot up and homeless tents everywhere. Okay, it's mostly the homeless encampments. It's causing a ton of these restaurants and bars to shut down. There's dozens of businesses already leaving. And a lot of these businesses, when they leave, they don't actually make it to the news because they're small businesses. That's really about it. And a lot of these guys are slowly leaving every single day. It's a very sad thing to see because this is like a really iconic area. This is like a very homey, cozy vibe. And a lot of these restaurants and bars and these grocery stores around this area service a lot of these more suburban house and suburban vibe areas. And they're leaving droves. Okay, Castro District restaurant vandalized for the third time in months. It's nonstop, right? And this is just one of like the restaurants here, but you also have thieves going to the restaurant, stole $650 in cash and $1,500 worth of equipment, and the owner says it feels pretty personal as well. Not to mention, it's not the only restaurant. A lot of other restaurants are getting hit pretty hard. And the crazy thing is the cops can't even keep up with this because there's so many of these incidences every single day. You got things coming from small shoplifting at Target, shoplifting at Walgreens, to car break-ins, and then to full-on vandalism and robberies. And what's really crazy is, the thieves stole about $650 in cash. Apparently that's under $950, so that's like a misdemeanor. That's like a slap on the wrist type of stuff. And also like a ton of equipment. So San Francisco laws are very, very lax, okay? You even see very viral videos of like how somebody broke into a car, the cops were right in front of them, and the robbers just scooted away. They just drove away like it was nothing. What is this? Like, not gonna lie, the crime rate in San Francisco is worse than GTA. It's so bad. Okay, it's getting worse and worse on a daily. Castro District, no wonder so many stores are shutting down. Can't blame them. It's not just Castro District, guys. I mean, look at this. San Francisco small business, like a Chinese restaurant, burglarized 7 times in a row since the pandemic. That's insane. Okay, that is crazy. You can't really operate a business like that. And this is why a lot of restaurants around the Castro District and several other small businesses, and for example, Mission District and other areas, are all slowly closing. They just can't operate in these really rough conditions. And what's worse is they're paying these crazy taxes, and the city just aren't doing them any favors at all. And you also now have these really crazy like protests as well. You know, you got side A, they want to have clean streets so the businesses could thrive, and then the other side is like, you can't do these homeless sweeps, it's unethical. Let me give you my take on this. I don't know what's going on with the San Francisco guys. It's honestly pretty weird to see how San Francisco citizens operate, but you can't really have like just homeless encampments everywhere littered in front of your businesses, because those businesses are gonna close, and the city will lose another source of revenue from those businesses. This is why so many people have left San Francisco. Let's not talk about the small businesses. Let's just talk about the office workers, right? 150,000 office workers are no longer coming back to San Francisco. They're leaving. They're not coming back. They're turning their backs to San Francisco. It's a pretty terrible place to live. And a lot of these office workers, they're pretty much done. So 150,000 people no longer commute to San Francisco on a daily. Look what happened to the city. It's completely empty. Offices are down. Vacancies pre-pandemic was less than 1%. Basically, every office was rented out in San Francisco. Now the vacancies are probably more than 40-50%, with more and more vacancies on the rise. And like the Castro District, they used to have business that was booming, lines everywhere. You know, people out partying late night, but at night, nobody's coming around. And in the daytime, there's barely any office workers. There's barely any tourism. San Francisco is a really dead city because of the mass amounts of homelessness. Homeless population has increased probably to almost 10,000 people at this point, and they're littering a lot of the places in San Francisco. And like I said before, I'm not even a big fan of like San Diego and stuff, but at least San Diego is sane enough to pretty much say, okay, tent encampments is pretty bad for business. We have to make tent encampments on the streets illegal, and that's happening. And this is why San Diego is actually doing such a good job. Yeah, they're saving their businesses. But of course, San Diego still has a lot of their problems. But as time goes on, San Diego is going to easily overtake several other of the California cities. Like I said before, you know, San Francisco, when you try to walk the streets, you step over needles, human waste, and often bodies straight up on the floor. I mean, it's like the radical left stuff, right? It's just getting worse and worse. Everything's getting more absurd every single day. Now, I like San Francisco, don't get me wrong. I've been here before the pandemic. It's a pretty phenomenal city, all things considered. It's a great city with a lot of rich culture. And when I was there, a lot of engineers, a lot of talent, a lot of tech. It was really inspirational. It makes you want to work. But now with so much of that talent already leaving for other states and even other countries, I'm not even sure if San Francisco could survive another few years like this. They're facing a multi-billion-dollar budget deficit because of the amount of companies moving out. And they're going to be starting to borrow money from the local government and also the central government as well.